Mining over the years, past 25 years in the Northern Canada, Northwest Territories, has been very beneficial when it comes to employment training and business prospects for the community members. The community that we represent, 4 communities, and also Caitlin Cleveland is the Minister of ITI in the industry tourism and responsible for 33 communities. And majority of the communities benefit from the 3 diamond mines that we've had in the past. Until today, they're at that stage of closure, but it has been very beneficial when it came to employment at the community level. So those are some of the benefits coming out of the mining companies, and not only that, but benefiting our region as well through impact benefits agreement and also participation benefits agreement when it comes to annual payments to the First Nations. With the mining companies, we've benefited over the years, but at the same time, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into 25 years ago. We didn't know much about diamonds of the day, the consumer price index, the funding that we received, let's say 1.3 million a year from the mining company 25 years ago, is still the same today, 1.3. And there should have been a consumer price index, at least CPI, but we're here today, and we've learned from our past experience with the industries, and we're at the table now saying, we need to do things differently. Things are changing, and we as First Nations, we're Clinton government for the past 25 years. We want to come to the table. We want to be part of decision making, and what's best interest of our Clinton citizens and the whole Northwest Territories. We need to have an economic boost for our Northwest Territories, Northern Canada. So that's one area that is changing. First Nations have an equity share in the industries. We want to have a say, more say than we did 25 years ago. And so those are some of the discussions that we're currently having. And JNWT, Government of Northwest Territories, is also our partner going forward, along with the federal government. So those are some of the discussions that we've had in the past and going forward with the industries. We talk about accessing federal funding and capital through various sectors. And Caitlin just did a panel discussion on industries changing their thinking, where as First Nations coming on board, we can access federal funding. That's a grant funds that we don't have to pay back. But if it's industry accessing the funds, it's a loan program, so they have to pay back. So it gives us more incentive to be at the table as partner with the industries, so they don't have to pay back. But that's our equity share into the mining companies. So those are very preliminary discussion we're having with probably 3 or 4 industries in our backyard in our Northwest Territories, Northern Canada. So those are some of the discussions that we are currently having. And just going forward, it's going to be a different approach than 25 years ago. I think one of the areas of interest is it's a whole learning environment. And we want people to be aware of where we're coming from. And our own Clinton government perspective, 25 years as a self-governing nation, we have our own constitution. And we have 39,000 square kilometers of land. Surface, subsurface we own, and now we're doing a very preliminary exploration on the land. And around us there's gold rush, diamond rush, there's lithium, and there's cobalt, and all these critical mineral deposits all around us, all around our land, 39,000 square kilometers of land. So once we open that up, for sure there'll be critical minerals deposits there. And meaning there'll be industries knocking on our doors, but it will be on our own terms. We're going to be sitting at a table. This is how it's going to go. Unlike before, industries came in and they did certain things their way, and there's got to be a corporate knowledge and just dealing with the community elders, the traditional knowledge. So those are some of the key factors that we want to involve the community at the get-go. Community has to be engaged right at the beginning of any exploration, pre-construction, and operations. So those are some of the things that we learn over the years, and it's very important that we need to engage the communities right at the front.
It's been a great opportunity to network with other people from the industry, whether they're proponents, so mining companies, and their perspective on, for example, regulatory. We just did that panel, and other governments, both from Europe, for example, from other nations around the world, and even from our own backyard. So it's been a really good networking opportunity. So we have a piece of legislation for our Mineral Resources Act that we have drafted with Indigenous governments. And so that's probably one of the areas that we're most proud of in the Northwest Territories, is how closely we work with Indigenous governments on our legislation. And like Grand Chief said, one of the most paramount pieces of that legislation is the incorporation of those partnerships and relationships with Indigenous governments in the territory where we live and come from. And what that does is prioritizes relationships with Indigenous governments and Indigenous peoples who are the landowners in the region where people are looking to do business and looking to do mining. And so that's one of the things that I have the opportunity to talk about the most, and is something we're very proud of, because across Canada we're definitely leaders in that respect. And one of the really interesting pieces about it is that it's building trust right off the get-go. So when Grand Chief talks about engagement early and right away with Indigenous governments, that's the start of that relationship, it's the start of building trust, and with that trust comes certainty in the process. We work very closely together with Indigenous governments across the territory. We travel together, so we're here together all the way from Northern Canada, so that's a good start. There's also numerous mining and mineral resource development shows across Canada that we end up participating at together. But the biggest and most crucial part of that is working together to understand one another's concerns, working together to be able to make sure that the processes we have in place honor both our roles in our communities, and make sure that we're honoring at the end of the day the residents of the territory that we both collectively serve.
Government of Northwest Territories Premier and ministers meet with Indigenous governments from across the Northwest Territories. So all elected officials at the table, when it comes to decision making, that covers the whole Northwest Territories. So those are some of the key decision makers at the table, collaborating together. So it goes hand in hand when we go to Ottawa with the Premier, with the ministers, Indigenous government, we're there with one voice as a nation for the benefit of Northwest Territories. So that's one unique circumstances in the Northwest Territories. We're a consensus-style government. We have no party politics. We have a council of leaders, all elected Indigenous Premier, ministers are together, decision-making together for the benefit of Northwest Territories.
Well, we hear you guys do Christmas markets pretty amazingly, so we've got to go check out some Christmas markets and some beautiful Christmas lights. But spending as much time as possible working and networking, getting to know people, because it's a really exciting time in Canada, especially Arctic Canada. So making sure that we're letting people know all of the opportunity that exists is our biggest focus this week.
It's a whole learning environment. This is a big country, big city, and compared to where we come from, small jurisdiction, but we have a huge landmass. And so one of the areas that we want to focus on is the announcement at the federal level, $1 billion infrastructure funds, and leading towards all-season road to resources. And obviously we're here today seeking some investors, right, throughout the world, and how they can invest in Northern Canada, invest in our projects, and be our partner. So those are some of the discussions that we are currently having, very preliminary, yesterday, today, until Friday. So very exciting time for us to be here. And Caitlin and I we've been colleagues in the past with the government of Northwest Territories. I used to be part of them before, my previous life. But at the same time, we're partners going forward. Indigenous government is standing here before you with government of Northwest Territories. Anything we do, we're becoming even more a partner on projects. So those are discussions that we'll continue to have and make it even stronger as a nation.